lovely, wasn't it? So, two quick things. First, I neglected to send something to the announcements, so I want to make a very short announcement. I realized some of you don't know, I do an online class on Sunday evenings from 7 to 8. It's called Inner Hour. We're doing a series on the nature of consciousness right now. So if that sounds interesting to you and you don't have the link, see me afterwards or get my number from somebody, and I'll send you the link, and you're welcome to join. There's no fee or anything, although you're welcome to send me money if you like. But you're welcome to join us. So just in case you don't know about that. The second thing is that my talk today is called The Most Important Thing. And before we get into it, I want to clarify something. Contrary to what some of you guys may think, it's not the Super Bowl. But, you know, be that as it may. We've talked about this a number of times, lots of different people who've stood up here. And we talk about it a lot in classes and whatnot. So the most important thing, so what is the most important thing? Love, okay. So we say that a lot, right? In lots of different ways, we say that. So it's nice that we believe that. And as far as what the Bible actually teaches and what it emphasizes and what it focuses on, which is something I like to go back to, as you know, there's lots of teachings in the Bible. Some of them seem very confusing, some seem clear, some seem contradictory, but there's lots of confusings in it. But what's the most important thing that the Bible teaches? Same answer. So there's a place in the New Testament, I don't know if you're aware of this, there's two places, both in the Gospel of Mark and in the Gospel of Matthew. But in the Gospel of Matthew, it's 22:36. And somebody comes up to Jesus and says, what's the most important teaching? Now, at that time, and still today, most Jews counted 613 different distinct commandments that were required to be done by everybody all the time. That's kind of a lot. And then there were a bunch of other ideas that you should be doing that weren't commandments. And then there were a bunch of things that were civil laws that you should and shouldn't be doing also. So that's a lot of teachings. And so they're saying to Jesus, out of all of these, what's the most important teaching? And what he says is, the most important teaching is this: you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. Now, in case you don't know the Bible well, he didn't make that up, and that wasn't original with him. He's quoting Moses. It's from a section in Deuteronomy, chapter 4. It's called the Shema. It's the most important teaching in all of Judaism. And Jesus is saying that's the most important teaching out of all the teachings. And then he adds one to it, which is also not made up by him. It's another quote from Leviticus 19:18. And he says, and the second commandment is like it, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Upon these two teachings, all the law and the prophets depend. So he considers that the most important teaching also. And you notice there's a couple different aspects there. One is that you're to love God, and the other is you're to love each other. If you just do one, that's not the teaching. In fact, there's a place in the letter of James. James was the blood brother of Jesus. Some of you are familiar with this stuff, some of you aren't. But whether you know this or not, Jesus had family. In the New Testament it says that. It names his brothers. And then it says sisters, plural, but it doesn't name them. But there's at least two, because it wouldn't be plural if it weren't. So he had a big family. And James, whom we have a letter from James in the New Testament, that was his brother. But in there he even says, and also in John, it says, if people tell you they love God but don't love one another, they're liars. It doesn't even say they're mistaken or they're wrong. It says they're liars. They're not just lying to you, they're lying to themselves too. So the idea that it's possible to be involved in a spiritual path that focuses on love of God to the exclusion of everything and everybody else, and that nothing else is important, is a lie. That's just the way it is. That's biblically supported and supported in my experience too. There are some of us, and I have been in this camp at various times in my life, thank God I'm not now, but there are some of us who believe that if we believe certain things about God, or have certain meditation practices, or belong to a certain group, that we've kind of found it. And so this is it. And that's all that's important, is that I do this thing, that I do this meditation, or that I go to this group, or that I do these rituals, or that I attend this organization, or whatever it is. And that's good. I've got this all figured out. And that's fine until it reaches the point where you add something to that and say, and everybody else who isn't doing this is wrong and doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. They're not important because they don't really love God, because they're not loving God the way I love God. That causes huge problems. Not just huge world problems and huge violence problems and huge civil problems. It causes huge problems in families, where your family member says, I love you, and therefore I'm going to make sure you love God right. Some of you know what I'm talking about. So don't you do it too. Don't you turn around and say, yeah, but you got it wrong because I've got it figured out, and I'm the more enlightened and awake one, and you shouldn't be doing it that way, because now you're doing the same thing they're doing. Just love them. Stop arguing. How many times has somebody convinced you by screaming in your face? Gee, I really want to be like that. But look at our world. People are still trying to convince each other that way. All over the place. Sometimes at pulpits. Doesn't work. So the second thing I want to say is, I want to talk about, so that's good. We now think love is the most important thing. Jesus agrees. So we're in good company here. So now love is the most important thing. So what does that mean? Does that mean that me feeling love for you is what the teaching is all about? What it means is, what's important is that I feel love. I should love Michael and Ruth. Oh, well, I do. Oh, good, then I'm great. I'm good now because I love Michael and Ruth. That's what I should do. No, wait, it means I should love Anu. Well, I do, so oh, good, I'm great. Well, it means that I should love this person that just said a really nasty thing about me and cheated me on a business deal. Well, I don't think I do. So now here's the problem that I have. The love that's being talked about is not a feeling. And a whole lot of spiritual teaching is oriented to get us to feel something. That's not a bad thing, and I'm not suggesting that I don't think we should feel love. What I'm saying is that's just step one. Opening up to the reality of love and being able to feel it is the first step. But if you stop there, you aren't done. Feeling it is not what life is about. I can feel it without any of you. I can feel it by myself. What I can't do is live it without you. How do I do that? Who do I give my love to? Who do I receive love from? How do I grow in love? How do I learn where my love is limiting and not really love at all but selfishness? How do I do that? By myself. Because I can convince myself of anything. And I can rationalize any behavior that I really want to do. I'm not going to the gym today. It's cold. My body will get all tense being out in the cold. It's not good for it. Not going to the gym. Well, that person did this to me, so God can't possibly expect me to forgive them. Look what they did. I can rationalize anything. But if I try to rationalize it to you, if I make excuses to you, somebody's going to call me on that. And I'm going to go, wait a minute, maybe I'm not doing this quite the way I thought I was doing it. If we could fulfill what God wanted us to do by being isolated, he would not have put us in families and communities. There are creatures in the world that are solitary. They live after they're adults, they live very solitary lives. Human beings are not among those. We need each other. And partly what we need each other for is not just sustenance and survival. Partly what we need each other for is, who are we going to love if we don't have relationships? And what has God commanded us to do? So another way to translate the commandment is, you shall be in relationships where you can experience and express your love with one another. Because how can you fulfill the commandment without relationships? And how often have you heard somebody say that? Not a lot, right? But it's implied. So relationships are a big deal. So here's another part of what I think it means to love one another. So I come up here, my wife's sitting over there. I love my wife, and I really do. And I feel a lot of love for her. And she doesn't have to be sitting there for me to feel it. She could be at home. She could be sleeping. And I could be staying up watching a movie or reading a book or whatever. And I still can feel that love for her. I can tell you all that I love her. That's all good stuff. But if I don't make time to talk to her in my life, if I don't speak nicely to her when I speak to her, if I don't respect her and her choices and decisions, if I never show up when she needs me, do I love her? Or do I just feel something? And is it wishful thinking? Am I saying I love her, but I don't really? Because anytime I have to put forth an effort that is uncomfortable or untimely, I won't do it. You get what I'm saying? When Jesus and the Bible are talking about loving, it's not talking about a feeling. A feeling is part of that experience, and opening to that feeling is the beginning of the experience. But just feeling something, you know, I don't know if you've ever had days I've had like really good days every now and then. Like just, you know, everything's like good. It's like, yeah, wow, good. This is great. And I think life's always going to be that way. Life is good, man. Now the next day, I might like, where did that go? I can't find it again. But in that moment, it's like, wow, life is good. I feel like I could fly, man. I feel like I'm just free. I could just like fly like a bird. Can I fly like a bird? No. Try it. Doesn't work. Try it with me. Doesn't work. Can I feel like I'm flying like a bird? Sure. Do I fly like a bird? No. So there's a disconnect between what we feel and what we do, and there's where a lot of our problem is. And it's a twofold problem. One is, and this is weird that we're wired this way, but our culture, and particularly our media right now, really encourages this. If you feel something negative, you are encouraged to act on it right away. Say your anger. Confront them. Take action. You're encouraged to do that. And that's what everybody shows us on social and news media, people doing just that. What they don't encourage you to do is when you're feeling negative things, hold up. Stop. Stop and take a look in yourself first. See what that's all about. Consider what's happening. Don't be pushed around and manipulated. Consider what's really happening and use your discernment. Act out of your wisdom, not your feeling. But conversely, when we feel something wonderful, well, I feel love and peace, and unity is a wonderful place, and everybody in it is great. I love unity. I don't do anything to support it. I don't send any money to it. I never show up at services. And when anybody needs anything, I go, I'm busy, sorry. But I really love it. That's a disconnect. You get what I'm saying? And I'm not even saying that that's bad or you're wrong for doing it. I'm saying is you're not living a fulfilling life unless you're making the connection. you're going to keep wondering, how come I feel this love, but my life isn't working? Because you're not living the love that you actually feel inside. That's where the fulfillment comes. So let me give you a couple of examples. These are from the Bible. This is from James again. This is the brother of Jesus. This is in James, 2 James, starting at the 14th chapter. What use is it, my brothers and sisters, if someone says he has faith, but he has no works? Does his faith save him? Now, actually, theologically, mainstream Christianity says yes. But James says no. James says, if a brother or sister is without clothing or in need of food to eat, and one of you says to that person, go in peace, brother, be warmed and filled, I'll pray for you. We laugh, but James continues, you did not give them what they needed. What use is that, and what have you really done for them? So I tell you that faith without works is dead. So that's what I'm trying to talk about, is this disconnect we have. This is a quote from Luke 6:32. This is something Jesus said, by the way. This is right out of his mouth to his apostles. This was not a public talk. This was to people that he had chosen to represent him in the world and to take his teachings out to the world. That's who he's talking to. So if you might think of it like a ministerial training class or a teacher training class or whatever. He's talking to these people that he's going to be sending out. He said, if you love only those who love you, what credit to you is that? Sinners love those who love them. If you do good only to those who do good to you, what credit to you is that? Sinners do the same. And if you lend money to people you expect to receive it from with interest, what credit to you is that? I'm telling you, to follow me, you have to learn to love your enemies and to do good and to expect nothing in return. To expect nothing in return. And then your real reward will be great, and you will become sons of the Most High, because he is kind even to the ungrateful and evil people. Learn to be merciful as our Father is merciful. Those sound like inspiring words, but those are not easy to live by. And a lot of his apostles went, what? I mean, we read it now because you've heard it a million times. They didn't hear it. This was their first time hearing it. And he was telling it to them in private. And they were like, how can you expect us to do that? But he does, and did. So the other facet of this I want to bring up briefly is that when we love something, we pay attention to it. We give attention to it. I remember when we had 6 kids, and when one of our daughters was in high school, just starting in high school, she was a freshman, I believe, she came home. We were very busy. She was working full-time out of town. I was working full-time. We didn't have much time. It was a particularly busy night, and I had to get a bunch of stuff done and go someplace. And our daughter came home, and she's all excited. And she said, guess what? Guess what? Guess what? I'm like, what? And she said, so in school today, this guy, I said, what guy is that? Well, this really cute guy. He's like really cute. Like, he's like, oh my gosh. She's like, oh. And he's really cute. And I'm standing at my locker, and he comes up next to me, and he's talking to somebody right next to me who's standing by my locker, and he's like right there. He's like right right next to me. And I'm like, okay. And he said, and you know what? I said, what? And our other children are going, come on, we need to go. And I'm like, and I'm listening to her, I'm like, what? And she said, and then he looked at me, and I said, yeah, what happened? He said hi. This is a huge deal to her. Was it a huge deal to me? No. Was it a huge deal to anybody else in the room at the time at our house? No. So why did I take time to pay attention to her and make her feel like it was important? Why did I bother to do that? Because she was important to me. And this was important to her. When I love someone, what is important to them matters to me, even if I don't believe it or don't personally care about it. So when we love something, we give it our attention. So here's another question. When you just kind of think about the world in general right now, where's your attention go? And for some of us, it goes to love and good things and what we're being called to do and enjoying our life and being kind to people. And to be quite honest, for many of us, a portion of our day, if not the majority of our day, is spent in things like, oh my God, look what's happening now. Oh my God, they're terrible. Oh my God, how can this be going on? Oh my God, this is awful. Oh my God, if only that group would go away. Oh my God, if only this group would get in power. Oh my God, if only this could be fixed. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my... What are you giving your attention to? Love or fear? Anger and retribution or forgiveness? What's occupying your attention most of your day? Because what is occupying your attention and mine most of the day, that's what you love the most. I know we might not think so, but that's what we do, is we give attention to what we love. If we're giving it a lot to fear, we love the fear. If we're giving it to anger, we love the power of feeling angry. Feeling angry is a lot more powerful than feeling helpless, isn't it? We don't like feeling helpless. So we need to look at where we're putting our attention. And I'll give you a practical, not political, worldly example, just a domestic example. So let's say you have a child or a roommate or a spouse that you're living with, and you have a good relationship with them, and you have a big argument. And you're really, I mean, this isn't a little disagreement. This is a big argument, and you're really upset with each other. In that argument, right then, when tempers are high and everything is all stirred up, right then, what's the most important thing? It's not a different answer than what you gave me when I first asked the question. Is the most important thing winning the argument? No. Is the most important thing getting what you want? No. Is the most important thing being right? No. Here's something that might surprise you. God doesn't care if you're right. God cares whether you love each other. In the argument, what if you had a huge argument with your spouse, and in the midst of that, what you suddenly remembered is, what matters the most to me is loving you and sharing our love together. Do you think that might change how you interacted in the argument? Because I can tell you for us it does. When we forget that, and we get caught up in all of the other stuff, the fear and the ego and the winning and the getting our way and the proving that I'm right and the getting you to do what I want and not apologizing. I'm sorry, honey, but if you wouldn't have done this, this is not an apology, gentlemen, just so you know. Because men have more of a tendency, in my experience, to do that than women. We like to excuse our behaviors. Really sorry, but if you wouldn't have pushed me to do this, wouldn't have happened. Yeah. That's probably it. So I saw a very traditional fundamentalist preacher many years ago. Maybe they're still popular, but I know many years ago, big TV evangelist shows were popular on television. And I was watching one guy, very traditional, very fundamentalist. I didn't agree with anything he said, to be honest, except this one thing. Toward the end, he said, you know, I've been up here in this pulpit for 30-some years now talking about love. And he said, people hear what I say and they think, wow, that guy's very loving and he really loves God and he's really dedicated. He said, you know what I have discovered is you should talk to my wife and children. And then you'll find out what kind of person I really am. And it's not what you think. The people that you live with day after day after day, that is where God put you. So who are you supposed to love? The people in China you've never met? Sure, that'd be nice. But is that where God wants you? Because if it was, you'd be living in China. Who does God want you to love? Everybody. Okay, sure. Do you really? Or does that just mean I have a nice feeling and I would like to have everybody have a happy life? That's a good thing. Who does God want you to love? The people he put you right next to. That's who. The people you see every day. The people that are part of your real life. Not your imaginary life, not your fictional life, not your fantasy life, not your life someday. Your life right here, right now. The people that you really enjoy, that make your life better, and the people that you really don't. Last story, and then I'll wrap things up with a little song and meditation. On the same show that I told you about years ago I was watching, on that same channel, there was another gentleman, and he said, he was one of these big megachurch evangelical people, and he said that there was a person in his congregation at church that would always sit in the front row and was always really annoying. He would ask uncomfortable questions. He would sometimes fall asleep and snore in church. He would do just rude stuff that really annoyed the minister to no end. And he said, I kept praying to God, just do something about this guy. Take him to a different, there's a nice church across the street. You know, he could go there. Just, you know, have him move, give him a better job. He doesn't have to be, it could be a better job across the country. Just do something about this guy. And he said, I prayed and prayed. Weeks I prayed. And this guy didn't go anywhere, and he didn't get any better, and he didn't improve. And I kept praying for God to fix this guy or do something for this guy. Nothing happened. And finally, after a month, I finally said to God, why aren't you doing anything about this guy? I'm praying. I'm praying believing. I'm praying in the name of Jesus. Why didn't you do something about this guy? And he said, for the first time in my entire ministry, I actually heard a voice. And it said, I did do something about it. I trusted you to give him my love. That's not a feeling, that's an action. That's a way of living, a way of behaving, a way of treating one another, where those feelings are given expression, where they become real, and not just a wishful thinking fantasy in us. You know, there's a famous saying in martial arts in the fight world of everybody has a battle plan until the fight starts and you get hit. Everybody has a life plan until the life starts and you get hit. And then what happens? So this idea of the most important thing is we have the opportunity to pay attention to love. We have the opportunity to express and learn about love through relationships. None of us are perfected in love, in my opinion. And I think that's what Jesus and other great teachers have tried to tell us is to grow into that, toward that perfection. Become more perfect in love today than you were yesterday. You don't have to be perfect, but be better at it today than you were yesterday. Give it more of your attention. Care more about it. Try harder today. So I'm going to sing you a little song, and we'll wrap up with this. This is a song that I wrote actually for some good friends of mine years ago. And so today it's for you. And it's called Taking Turns. And one of the things that I think is important about love is the recognition that sometimes in my life, I'm in a really good place. And when I'm in that good place, I feel really strong and clear. And sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I'm very in a weak place. I'm in a place of pain or loss or difficulty. And if we love each other, we're there for each other in the good times and in those difficult times. When my heart is full of joys I want to share, I run to you and know you will be there to stand with me in wonder of all that God has done. Sharing simple pleasures of stars and rain and sun, to come together like harmony in song, knowing we each belong. Round and round we go, through happy times and sad. Sometimes we fly, then sometimes we fall. It's good to know we are here to share it all. When my hands have failed me, I will use yours. When my strength has left me, I will lean on yours. And when the night is falling so hard I cannot stand, I'll turn to you again. When my troubles pass and I'm strong again, I'll take my turn and you can hold my hand. When your hands have failed you, you can use mine. When your strength has left you, you can lean on mine. And when the night is falling so hard you cannot stand, just turn to me, my friend. Just turn to me, my friend. Just turn to me, my friend. Okay. Thank you. So let's just take a moment of quiet. What a gift it is to know these things. What a gift to know that we are loved and that we can love. What a gift it was to wake up today with one more chance. And what it is to be part of this spiritual community that continues to remind us that love is real and it is our calling. May we use the gift of this day and each day that follows to share this love together. That is my prayer for all of us. And it is the reason I am grateful. Thank you. Amen.